In the security controllers, we have the health checkup. What is the purpose of this? You are keep on modifying the options in the Salesforce. You are going to keep on modifying the options in the Salesforce. Because you have modified the option, because of the modification, whatever the modification that you have done, okay, if any security issues are there, they will be represented. Let us say I have given company profile or a Google password policies. I told 1 year, then number of imperatives, no limit. I modified the password. Like I said, no limit for invalid attempt. Because I modified that, it will be showing a was your modified number of invalid items equal to unlimited, because of which your application is going to be under threat. So it is going to say, whenever you make changes on the settings, because of the modification, is there any threat to the application? Because you have changed some modification, you made some modification on the options. Right now I made a modification stating that you can make n number of items with wrong password. Because you have modified the option, because you enabled the option, is your application under threat? If your application is under threat, it will show you pause. Your application is under critical threat. No, it's a warning, it's a complaint, like that. It's good. Password policies, user expired, password expires in 1 year. Because of this, there is a critical warning. Password. Don't keep your password expires in 1 year, modify it, reduce it. You are able to see. Just now I modified, password should expire within 1 year. Generally it will be 1 day or 1 month or 2 months, 3 months, but I said 1 year. Because of that, it is saying it is a threat to your application. Try to reduce the password policies. Password expires in 1 year to less than 1 year. Like this, require minimum one password. Similarly, I told enforce IP login ranges on every request. I disabled it. For system administrator, I enabled it. Because of that, they told boss, your application is under threat. You told everybody can access the application from any IP address. Your application is under threat. It should be basically enabled. I didn't enable it. Now it's the best choice is your value and your standard value. You are supposed to keep this value, but I gave this value. Because of which the status is critical. Like that, it will show you issues because of the options that you enable and disable. Because of the options that you have enabled or disabled, what are the security threats that you are going to have, and what are the other issues that you are going to have, they will be represented here. This is called health checkup. This is called a health checkup. Similarly, we want sharing settings. When you say sharing settings, organization wide defaults, sharing rules. How to share your record automatically. How to share your record. How to share your record based on ODD. How to share your record based on sharing rule. Everything is mentioned in the sharing rules. We already seen this concept. Then we have field accessibility. So if you want to control the permissions on the field, so when did we give the permissions on the field? At the time of creating a field, we told visible or read only. Later on, in the page layout, at the time of creating a page layout, again we control the permissions on the field. So the permissions on the field can be controlled at what level? At the field level or at the page layout. At the time of creating a field, we control the permissions on the field. This field should be visible to this profile. This field should be readable to this profile. This field should not be visible to this profile. Like that, we have given the permissions at the time of creating a field. At the time of creating a field, we give some permissions on the field for a profile. Similarly, at the time of creating a page layout, we again give a permission. Now, when you say field accessibility, choose the object, choose the field. Let us say I'm giving. Now they told for system administrator what type of action you want to give. For the system admin profile, on the field called first name, I give read and write. Now for the same profile, the page load I give read and write. So here if I give read only, what happens? We have taken the comparison. At the page layout, we can reduce the permission, but we cannot increase the permission. Right? In the page layout, if you give read only, the field will be read only. In the field level, if I give read and write, on the page layout, I can give it as read and write, read or hide or require. In the field level, if I give read only, at the page layout, I can make it as read only or hide. What is the maximum permission I can give at page layout? What is the maximum permission? If you remember, we discussed this comparison chart. Let me give you one more time. This is field level. At the field level, if I give no, then at the page level, what is the permission we can give? If the field is not visible at field level, at the page level also it is not. I told you cannot give more than what is there in field level. If you want, you can reduce, but you cannot give more than what is there in the field level. Suppose at the field level, if I give read only, in the field level, if I give read only, at the page level, I can make it as so at the field level, if I give read only, at the page level also it is what? Read only. At the field level, if I give what is that? I can give the permission of write. So it's a combination of field level and page layout which will give you access. So at the field level, if I say no, on the page layout also it is no. At the field level, if I give read, on the page layout it can be hide or read. In the field level, if I give read and write, on the page layout I can get it as hide, read or read and write. Means using the page layout, if you want, you can reduce the permission of the field, but you cannot give more than what is there on the page. Okay, what is given on the field level. Whatever the permission I give at the field level, I can give the same permission or less than that in the page layout. Whatever the permission I give at the field level, I can give the same permission or less than that in the page layout. Right. So this is the comparison. So if you want to make a field level accessibility, go to the field. Now you give permission. At the profile level, on a field, I give read and write. On the page level, what I can do? Hide. On the page level, I can make read. On the page level, I can make read and write. This is your choice. Are you getting my point? So how the permissions on the field are controlled? By using field accessibility. Okay. Next, password policies. What are these password policies? If you create a password, how long the password should remain? You can say 180 days. After 180 days, when I try to log in, it will automatically ask me to reset my password. After 6 months, if I try to log in, it will ask me to reset my password. Then it asks enforce password history. What is the meaning of enforce password history? Whenever you want to reset your password, it says your new password should not be any one of the last 3 passwords. Your new password should not be any one of the last 5 passwords. What is that? It's called enforced password history. Remember my old passwords. Remember my old passwords. It's called enforce password history. Remember my old passwords. How many old passwords has to be remembered? 3 password, 4 password. How many passwords we have to remember? Then minimum password length. Minimum password length. What is the minimum length of your password? And the password complexity. When you say password complexity, length of the password combination should have alphabet, should have number, should have underscore. What combinations you want? You want a mix of alphanumeric. You want a alphanumerical special characters, one uppercase, one small case. Then there is combination of your password. Can a password, if you there will be a question for your password in case you forget. Can that forgot password question can contain answer for it? Can a forgot password contain a password in it? Forgot password there will be a question. Can that question itself contain the password? Yes or no? Then how many invalid attempts I can make? If I cross a maximum invalid attempts, how much time the account is blocked? The ATM, if you give 3 attempts, account is blocked for 1 day till the end of the day. Next day automatically it is released. Like that, when you make invalid attempts here, for how much time the account is blocked? I told 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, forever. So if you make maximum number of invalid attempts, your account should be blocked. For how long the account should be blocked? Is it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour or forever? Substitute secret answer for password reset. Whenever you want to reset your password, it will ask an extra security question. It will ask you an extra security question. Only when you answer that security question, it allows you to reset your password. Then, require a minimum 1 day password lifetime. If I create a password today, if I create a password today, minimum 1 day I need to reset. So every password I create has a lifetime of 1 day. So you need to wait for 1 day to reset the password again. Then allow use of set password API for self resets. Do you want to use the API program for programmable format to reset your password? Okay. So basically the name itself says what they are. Okay. But what is the next one we have? Session settings. What is the session settings? If I log into the Salesforce right now, if I am working on the Salesforce, how long I can continue to work? Once I log into the Salesforce, if I am working, how long I can continue to work? So you told 2 hours. After 2 hours, automatically it will log out. So maximum session time. Once the user has logged into the account, how long we can continue to work? I told session time it is 2 hours. After 2 hours, automatically the account will be logged out. So you can set whatever the time you want. Disable the timeout warning pop-up. If I enable this, like internet, when you go to internet shop, you get a pop-up box. 25 minutes, 30 minutes left, 10 minutes left. Like that the pop-up message will come. Force logout. If 2 hours is crossed, automatically it will force you to log out and log in again. Automatically it will log out, ask you to relog in. Don't touch anything here. Login flow. What is login flow? Suppose if you want to give, generally if you want to log into Salesforce, what we are doing? Username, password. If you want to give any extra set of authentication, like I will give username, password, then enter your email ID. I will send a OTP to your email ID, reproduce the OTP, then it will allow you to log in. No, enter your username, password, then we will send a SMS to your registered mobile number, then enter the OTP, then only allow me to log in. So you want to provide some extra step of authentication. Then what I am doing here, look at the process. If you want to create an extra step of authentication, go to create, workflows and approvals, then we will find here new flow. Look at the navigation one more time. Setup, build, create, workflows and approvals. Then we have I'm creating one extra step of authentication. You're going to see this topic in the development. I'm going to have some extra step of authentication. We're going to see this topic in the development. But then go back here. We are coming back to our home step. What is it? Security controllers. Then we have login first. The login flow, new login flow. We have login flows. For which user? Salesforce licensed user. Which profile? Student profile. So we'll take a Wilson profile, Wilson manager. So when the Wilson is trying to log in, when Wilson is trying to log in, it is going to ask extra step of authentication. I give username, password, it is asking some extra step of verification. Enter your mobile number, you can't finish, then I can give a flow like that. Once I click on finish, then what happens? I can send a OTP to the registered mobile number and they have to reproduce the OTP. If they are matching, then they'll say login. Otherwise, they'll say invalid attempt. So, what is that? Apart from your username, password, if you want to give any extra step of authentication, then we are going to use the concept of login flows. Did you get my point here? Login flows is for what? Granting some extra step of authentication. If you want to give any extra step of authentication, then we go for login flows. The network access. Already we have seen this concept. What is that? Range of IP addresses for your organization so that the people can log in from your system. Then activation. What are the IP addresses from which you have successfully logged in? Now I got these are the IP addresses from where I have successfully logged in. And I have logged in from this IP address successfully. Next time when I try to log in from this IP address, it will not ask me verification code. So it will show you list of IP addresses from where you have successfully logged into your account. Then session management. When I say session management, look at the point. So what are the session IDs that are running now? Your application is internally connected to. Look at the point. Your application is internally connected to all this. So already these people, how many session IDs are created? Which user, which is session ID? Which user, which is session ID? How many session IDs are created? Which user, which session ID? Let me show you one more time. Now, how many people are logged in actually? Only 2 people are logged in, right? Number of people who logged in is only 2. But why we are getting so many session IDs? Now, how many people are logged in actually? Satish and Wilson. Wilson also logged out from my end. But how many people are connected? So with my username password, with the Wilson password, some students are right now logged in. They are using this. With my student username, this so many people are logged in right now. Right now they are logged in and they are using this. They are using it 7:20 AM, 7:16 AM, 7:16 AM, 18 AM. So many people are logged into my student account. Right now, many people are logged into my student account. They are using. Everyone who log in, one such ID is created. So number of students are logged into this account right now. They are logged in and they are using my account. Right, boss? So what was this? These are the list of. So who are logged in? Every time a user log in, such ID is created. Right now on the name of Satish, on the name of Batch, there are 3 IDs. On the name of Wilson, there are number of IDs. You feel that only Satish has logged in. Again, remove the such IDs. So right now, how many people are there? How many IDs are there? But only one Satish is there, right? But why 3? Because you feel that there is only one application. Internally, there are number of applications which are running. Like you got help. When it's a help, it's a different application. When it's a help, it's a different application. It has got one more. Right now, how many are there? 3 are there, right? Workbench. I'm logging into one more application with the same batch 296. I log into one more third-party application with the same batch 296. I'm logging into one of the third-party system. Now we already logged into third party. With what name we logged in? We logged in with batch 296. Go back to this. Check out how many IDs are there. Previously there are only 3, right? But now what happened? The next one came because I tried to log into this third party system with the same ID. So with this username password, to how many applications you connected, what is the session ID that will be given. You feel that you are only one user who logged in, but every application to which you are connected will have one session ID. So what are the session IDs that are created for this user? Will be there. So right now this user is connected to 5 of the application. You log into only one application, but internally you are connected to 5 applications. For every application there is a session ID. For every application there is a session ID. Are you getting my point? To list of session IDs to which your list of session IDs of the user who log in will be given with the system management. Login access policies. When you say login access policies, we got here. Administrator can only log in as any user. If I enable this, go to the user, what happened? Now we got an option called login. The means administrator can log in as any other user. By simply clicking on login, right now Satish is logged in as what? Login. Right now Satish logged in as what? Login. So you have a choice to log in as any user. Administrator has a choice to log in as any user. Now look at this. She was not able to find login. Why? Because I logged in as Kavya. Did I give username password of Kavya? I will give username password of Kavya. Without giving the username password of the Kavya, you are allowed to log in like a Kavya if you enable login access policies. Administrator can log in as any user. If I enable this option, administrator can simply open the Username, look at the point. I told you, all these options are, if you are a core administrator, then you need to get all these options. But being a developer, okay, I don't think you'll be using these options. But if you are a core administrator on the production side, if you are a core administrator on the production side, you may be using these options. So what was that? Security controllers. Then I told login access policies. If you enable this option, what I told, administrator can log in as any other user by simply clicking on login button. There is a login button here. Click on the login button. Automatically it will be logged as for us. So when that option is available, when you enable this, administrator can log in as any user. Then Salesforce.com support. So can any user of your organization raise a ticket for support from Salesforce? Can any user of your organization, can any user of your organization can raise a ticket for support? You are writing a ticket to the Salesforce team for support. No, only administrator can raise a ticket. No, everybody can raise it. When I say available for administrator only administrator can raise a ticket. If any issue is there, only administrator can communicate with the Salesforce team, get it resolved. No boss, everybody can make a call to Salesforce support team and get the issue done. This is the login access policies. Then certificate and key management. Certificate and key management. What is certificate and key management? Now let us understand this. I have two look at this format. I have a ICAC application here. It's a ICAC server. ICAC people told Satish, we are launching an online banking. Okay, you do not come to the bank, make use of online banking and start transferring the funds or making the payment. ICAC people told, this is the ICAC server. ICAC people told, boss, you do not visit the bank. We have launched online banking. Open the website, make a transaction or making a payment. And they gave me URL. When they gave me URL, I was using it. What is the URL they gave? They gave me one URL. Then by making use of this URL, making use of this URL, I am entering my username password, logging into the ICICI bank and making a transaction. But what happened? One day when I am making a transaction, because it's HTTPS, I was making a transaction. It is supposed to go to the ICICI server. But what happened? In between, somebody hacked my system. If somebody hacked my system, and whatever the data, when you say security, the meaning of security is the data what you are sending across the network. The data what you are sending. What is the data you are sending? ABC. The data what you are sending across the network, that should be delivered to the destination securely. So somebody hacked my system. This guy hacked my system. And this guy hacked my system. When this guy hacked my system, whatever the data I got, whoever is hacking the system, the data will be delivered to the ABC123. ABC123. So this guy by my credentials, he was making a transaction. This guy with his credentials making a transaction. The issue was, why the issue was like, when somebody hacked, he was able to see my data. He was able to read my data. So whatever the data I am sending across the data, he was able to read the data, make use of the data. That's the reason what happened. One time when I am making a transaction, somebody hacked my system and they made a shopping for 1 lakh. Then I stopped using online banking. When I communicated with the online ICICI bank, they told, boss, it It's your responsibility to maintain your username password securely. We can help you out in giving a complaint. More than that, we cannot do anything. Then I stopped using online banking. Then ICICI people asked, Satish, why you are not doing online, not using online banking? Then I told the same issue. Last time when I had an issue, you people told you are not responsible for that. So I cannot take a risk. Then ICICI people told, this time we have an advanced software, very well maintained security. Okay, this time it will not happen. Make use of online banking. But I cannot take a risk by believing you. I told we cannot believe you. Then the ICICI bank asked, boss, whom do you believe? I told I will believe GoDaddy, I will believe Microsoft, I will believe IBM. Fine. If Microsoft people say that my system is secured, will you believe that my system is secured? Yes. Okay. Then I told Microsoft people, boss, can you say my system is secure? Then Microsoft people told, I can say your system is secured. To tell your system is secured, you generate one public key. Generate a certificate. They will generate a certificate and give that certificate to Microsoft. When they give a certificate to Microsoft, Microsoft people will use their private key and encrypt the certificate. I am going to give one random key to them. They are going to use their own private key and encrypt it. Once they encrypt this key, again give back this key to Salesforce. Okay. Give back this key to ICICI. Now what this ICICI bank will do? Whatever the certificate that ICICI, okay, whatever the certificate that Microsoft has signed, that means first I have to generate a random key, give to the Microsoft. They will use their own key, encrypt. Encryption is what? Sign. They encrypt the certificate and give back the certificate to ICICI. Then what ICICI bank will do? Install that certificate in the ICICI server. What is that certificate called? SSL certificate or TLS certificate. Right? So the people will go with what? SSL or TLS. So your organization will generate one certificate. You do third party. The third party will encrypt the certificate by using their private key and give the encrypted certificate. Then I am going to install the certificate in my server. When I install the certificate in the server, then my URL becomes what? HTTPS. Then next time when I am making a transaction, my data is encrypted. Using my certificate, my data is encrypted. Then some system has hacked. When system hacked, then they ask the boss, it is a certificate enabled system. Show me your certificate. Right? Give me your IP address, show me your certificate. If your IP address and certificate is matching, then only I will deliver the data. Otherwise, my data cannot be delivered to you. Then what happened? Even if they hack, my ABC 123 cannot be delivered to these people as you are unable to produce your IP address and your certificate. So now I am very much sure that my data is going from the source to destination server only. If I say HTTPS www.iccionline.com, then I am very much sure that my data what I entered the page is only going to ICICI server. Apart from that ICICI server, if any other server make a request or I hack it, the data will not be delivered to them. So I understand that my request is only going to the specified server. To achieve this, what we are doing? We are making use of certificate. What is the certificate? You generate a random key, give this key to third party people will say, okay, encrypt the certificate, give the certificate back to you, you install your certificate, then the system becomes what? HTTPS. Then the system becomes HTTPS. I hope I'm clear? Right. Here in the Salesforce, like in general, there are two types of certificates. Self-signed certificate and CA signed certificate. Self-signed means my company has my own algorithms to generate a certificate or encrypt a certificate. I have my own algorithms using which I am going to generate my public key and private key, encrypt my own certificate. I am going to generate my own public key, I am going to generate my own private key, use both of them and encrypt them. So I have my own mechanism to encrypt the certificate. Then your self-signed certificate may or may not be approved by everyone. Your self-signed certificate may or may not be approved by everyone. So if you generate your own certificate, encrypt the certificate, you only generating, you are only encrypting, then giving a certificate. It's called self-signed. Self-signed. No, if you want the certificate to be encrypted by third party, then it's called CA sign. You generate a certificate, give to third party, they will encrypt it and they'll give you back which is called CSN. Generally, if you are in Java or .NET, you are going to go with what? Keystone. If you are a Java developer or .NET developer, using a keystone, you generate a certificate. So this is called certificate management. Right, boss? So what we call certificate management. How many types of certificates are there? Two types of certificates. What is that? Self-signed. CSN. Keystone, I told you. If it is Java, .NET, they generate keystone. They give you, you upload it. If it is self-signed, you are getting your own certificate and give it to third party. CSN, you generate a certificate, give to third party people will encrypt and give you, upload it. CSN and self-sign. We are going to use these certificates in integration part. Then single sign-on, I'll give you these topics I'll discuss in the next session. Single sign-on, authentication provider, identity provider, I'm going to discuss in the next session. Then we have next one. What is the next topic that we have? View setup audit trail. This is very dangerous for you, boss. If your manager wants to see whether you are sleeping or working, you will open this view setup audit trail. You can find what all the things that you are working. You look at this. Logout of user Kavya. Change administrator can log into any user. Change administrator can log into any user. Activated name login flow. Deleted login flow. Deactivated login flow. What is that? Everything that you have done in the last 6 months, that is registered here. Whatever that you have done as a user, when you log in, what you have done in the last 6 months, I can find out from here. Once you log into your report in the last 6 months, what is the activity that you performed, what are the actions that you performed, everything I can find out from here. So whether you work or not, keep on clicking some tab so that your manager finds that you are working. Then this is what? Last 6 months history about the users and their works. Expire all the password. When I say expire all the password, entire organization passwords you want to reset at a time. You want to reset the passwords of entire organization at a time, then we use expire all the password. Then we have delegated administrator. So in my absence, I want to make some other user as administrator. In my absence, I want to make some other user as administrator. But I don't want to give my username password. So I want you to work like administrator, but I don't want to share my credentials. I am the administrator, but I also want you to work like administrator, but I don't want to share my credentials. Then what I will do? I will give you extra permissions to work like an administrator. So that is called delegated administrator. You are authorized to work like an administrator. But when you are authorized to work like an administrator, are you allowed to modify everything in the organization? Are you allowed to create a new user with every profile? Are you allowed to create a new user with every role? Are you allowed to change the permissions of every profile? No, I don't want you to. I want to give you. I told boss by a delegated administrator, you are allowed to work with only following profiles and following objects. So delegated administrator, I am making you like an administrator, but I am not authorizing you to work like any other user. So what I am doing? Delegated administrator. Click on the new. I cannot mention it. It's only for the sake of knowing that there is a topics available. Practically, we don't use it. I'm just moving forward fastly. We are not going to practically use these topics. Okay. Only for the sake of syllabus, as you want to know, like there's some topics exist like this. Only for the sake we are giving. But practically, using on the board is no way you will be using this. Okay. Unless you are a core administrator in the production, but you don't get the choice. Right. So let us not waste time in giving elaborate explanation. So, what was this? Delegated administrator. So, what we got here? Delegated administrator. Who are the users who you want to make as a delegated administrator? In your absence, I want to make someone as administrator. Who is that someone? Let us say Satish I want to make. In my absence, I want to make Satish as an administrator. Fine. Now, this Satish can work with which roles? This Satish can work with which roles? All the users who have a CEO role, all users who have a clerk role. Now, this delegated administrator can work with all the users who have a CEO role or who have a clerk role. All users who have a CEO role or all the users who have a clerk role, he can modify the permission or he can create. So this administrator is allowed to work with the users who have the given role. Then he is allowed to work with the profiles. With which profiles he can modify? He can modify clerk profile, he can modify manager profile. So he was authorized to work with only the users who have CO role and clerk role and clerk profile and customer profile. He can authorize to create or modify the permissions of the user who have a role of CO and clerk and who have a profile of clerk and customer. On which objects you can work? What are the custom objects on which you can work? Choose the list of custom objects on which you can work. So this user is allowed to work with the following objects and modify the permissions of the following objects. So what we are doing? We are making this user as a delegated administrator and saying, boss, you work with the following roles, following profiles, following permission set, following public group, and following custom objects. We are agreeing. So when the user log in, irrespective of his profile, irrespective of his OWD, he was allowed to work with the following. You may or may not have a permission of the object, but now you are going to get a permission. Irrespective of your profile, irrespective of your OWD, you are authorized to work with the following profiles, following roles, following objects. Are you getting my point? You can control the permission. You can control the permissions on this profile. You can control the permissions on this user. You can control the permissions on this object. You can control the permissions on the permission set. You are authorized to manage the permissions on given roles, given profiles, given objects, and public groups. Are you clear about this point? Okay. So who is the delegated administrator? We are making him as administrator and granting him the permission to manage the permissions. Granting him the permission to manage the permissions. Then what else we have? Remote site setting. What is this remote site setting? When you say remote site setting, if you want to communicate with any third-party system, let us say from SAP system, you are getting some data into Salesforce. Whichever the third-party system with which you are communicating, like we got outbound message. In the outbound message, what you are doing? From Salesforce, we are sending a message to third party. That means you are communicating from Salesforce to third party. Any third-party system with which you are communicating, in both ways, inbound or outbound. Any third-party system with which you are communicating, both the ways, it can be outbound or inbound. Any third-party system with which you are communicating, it can be inbound or outbound. Those systems has to be registered as a remote site setting. That system has to be registered as a remote site setting. That system should be registered as a remote site setting. Any third-party system or a server with which you are communicating, that server URL should be registered as a remote site setting. So this is the web services and outbound message. When you say outbound message, you are sending a message from Salesforce to third party, sending a record from Salesforce to third party. Whichever the server to which you are sending a request, whichever the server to which you are sending a record, that server URL should be registered here as a remote site URL. Any third party system with which you are trying to communicate, the third party system should be registered in the Salesforce as a remote site setting. Am I clear with this? Right. This is
what is inbound and what is outbound?
inbound is coming inside. From third party you are getting the rest. Outbound from Salesforce you are sending outside.
Outside means outbound.
Any system. Outbound from Salesforce is out. Outside the Salesforce, outbound. Getting into the Salesforce inbound. Then we have the next concept. So rest of the things is more of integrative one. Rest of the things are more of integrative one. Then what are the things we have? Health checkup. Sharing health checkup is for what? Because you have enabled some options and disabled some options, is any threat to the application. That will be indicated by health checkup. Sharing settings are used for what? Sharing settings are for whatever is sharing group. Field accessibility is for what? Field level permission. Password policies. Length of your password, and length of your password, how many old passwords are removed, all the previous history and body removed. Password policy. Session settings. Once I log in, how long I can continue to work? Once I log in, how long I can continue to work? Session settings. That's what. Once I log in, how long I can continue to work? Login close. In case if you want to give any extra step of authentication, then we go with what? Login close. Then we have network access. When I say network access, what are the range of IP addresses from which you can log in? Then activation. What are the IP addresses from which you have successfully logged in? Session management. Now once the user has logged in, you will be connected to a number of applications. So how many applications you have connected? What are the session IDs for that? Then we have login access policies. Can an administrator can log in as any other user? Administrator can simply click on login button and log in as any other user. And for whom you want to give Salesforce support. Now who can raise a case with the Salesforce for the support from your organization? Then we have certificate and key management. I told you self-sign and CSI. Then we'll see single sign-on authentication identity provider. We'll see in the next session. View setup audit trail. All the last 6 months work, whatever you've done, that is registered with the view setup and audit trail. Then we have expire all the password. You want to reset the password in a single click. Then we have delegated administrator. You want to give some extra administrative permissions to a user. For a specific user, you want to give some extra administrative permissions. Then we call him as delegated administrator. So there we say with which roles you can work, with which profiles you can work, with which custom objects you can work. Remote site settings. Any third-party system with which you are communicating, that third-party system has to be registered with the remote site setting. Right, boss? So this is security controls. Then we have domain management. Right now, how you are able to log in? Login.salesforce.com. But I don't want to log in with the login.salesforce.com. I want to create my own URL. I don't want login.salesforce.com. I want to give my own URL for the organization. Then we go for what? Domain registration. How do you register domain? Domain registration, my domain. Check the availability. It is available. Enter the domain name. Register the domain. When you register the domain name, it takes 5 to 10 minutes to activate. Let us wait. Once it is activated, what is my URL? This is the URL. Instead of login.salesforce.com, my URL will be batch0296. You can use login.salesforce.com or you can use this URL. So instead of login.salesforce.com, I want to create my own URL. So how did you do? Go to domain management, my domain, enter the domain name, register. Once the domain name is registered, activated, then what we do? We can log in with this URL. I can use this URL and log in. Instead of login.salesforce.com, I can use this URL and log in. Instead of login.salesforce.com, I can use it. This is called as what? Domain management. Communication template will have what? Email templates. The translation workbench. When you say translation workbench, now if you want to translate the English to some other, like let's say you are a user whose local language is German. Now I want to translate the application from Salesforce to German. Now when you look at your company profile, look at the company profile. Company profile, language settings. In the language settings we have enable end user languages. If I enable this, if I choose any one of this language, Salesforce will convert entire application into that language. If I choose any one of the language from that group, the Salesforce will convert entire application into that language except setup admin option. Except administrator option and setup and the help menu. Except the help menu and admin option, everything will be converted to the language. If I choose any one of the language from the list, like Turkish, Indonesian, if I choose any one of the language, entire application will be converted into the language except help menu, except the help and admin setup. These two will be in standard English, but rest of the thing will be in the language what you selected. Now, if I select any one of this language, Salesforce will not convert into that language. Salesforce will not convert into that language. but provides you translation workbench to tell how to convert into that language. Salesforce by default will not convert, but it is giving a mechanism to convert into whatever the language you want. Like it says, it also supports Hindi, Urdu, Tamil, it supports this language. So the Salesforce will not convert the application to that language. It also supports some Tamil, Hindi, Urdu, even these languages are supported. But the point is, Salesforce will not translate into that language. Salesforce will not translate into that language, but provides you a mechanism to translate. Like we got, when you're typing a SMS, Hindi SMS we type in English. The word is a Hindi word, but we type in English. Similarly, you tell me what I have to display, I will display. You tell me in English what I have to display, I will display. Now you tell me, I will display. I cannot convert, but I am giving an option. You tell me what to display, I will display. Right? What is this concept? Enable platform only language. If you choose any one of these language, Salesforce will not convert into the language, but provides you mechanism to translate. Salesforce will not translate into the language, but provides you mechanism to translate. What is that mechanism? Translation workbench. What is the mechanism? Translation workbench. Go to the translation workbench, enable the settings. Translation workbench is enabled, then translate. Translate. What are the languages that we have? There are no languages enabled for it. Then, what are the languages you want to support? I want to support German. For whom you want to support German? If Wilson chooses the language as German, I am going to support. For Wilson, I am supporting which language? German language. Now, if Wilson login, then what should be displayed? I am saying application name. All my application names like BMW, like you tell me what should be displayed in German. So I am giving some information. Give the message what it will be called in German. What it is called in German, you give me, I will display the same. So this is the standard English. Now what we call this, what do you call this in German? Type it. What we call it in German, type it. So when the Wilson login and changes his local language as German, automatically what happened? These applications will be displayed with those names. So Salesforce will not translate, but providing you a mechanism to translate. You tell which language or which user you want to support. If that user open with that language, and how it should be displayed. Instead of BMW, what I want to display. Like what you call in German, you type it, I will print it here. It's called as translation workbench. In general, if you are using other technologies, it is called internationalization. Generally, we call the concept as internationalization. There is a concept called internationalization, which is used to translate. Which is used to translate your application to corresponding language. So, what is the purpose of translation workbench? It will translate your application to desired language. Now, here we have override. Okay. Export and import. When you are exporting, do you want to export in the translated format or original format? Now you translate it to German. When I export the data, should I export? Data will be always in English only. Data will not translate. Data will be English only. Okay. Now when I go with this, they're asking, should I export translated data or untranslated data? You translate into German. When I export, should I get a German file or should I get an English file? Choose it. Source or untranslated. Source file or untranslated or both. When you are importing, the data should be imported in the English one. When you are importing, the data should be imported in the English one. So what is the purpose of translation? Was if you want to support any other language, you want to show the application in a particular language which is Salesforce is not supporting, then you have a choice to translate the application to that language and display. Right? So when I say translate, it's not entire data, it's a labels, application label, button label, field labels, only labels. I can translate the labels, not the record. I cannot translate the record. I can translate labels, field name, button label. Okay, the labels I can translate.
Sir, server means both.
Okay.
Server.
Yeah, two files will be done.
Sir, how is it English and German both?
Two files will be done. Not in a single file. Two files. One file for German, one file for English. Two files are done. Right, boss. This is a translation. Translation stands for what? Converting your application to the desired language. Right. Data management. So in the data management, so apart from integration, like we have reporting snapshot, we already seen data import wizard, data export, storage usage. When I say storage usage, each object, how many records are there, how much space is occupied. In the current application, how many objects are there, each object has how many records, how much space of the memory is occupied. That analysis will be given. Mass transfer. When I say mass transfer, what is the meaning of transfer? Changing the owner from one user to another user. Generally, if you want to change the user, what I will do? Go to record, go to the record, click on owner, change the owner. Now, if I want to change the owner for 1000 records, will I go to every record and do it? No. In that case, we will go with what? Mass transfer. Transfer accounts. Transfer accounts from whom? Transfer accounts from Satish to which records you want to transfer? You want to transfer all the records? Only those records whose industry equal to energy. I give a condition. All the account records which are meeting this condition, they are given. Then I am selecting the records, saying transfer. So all the records are transferred from Satish to Wilson. Mass transfer. At a time, if you want to transfer a group of records, we will go with the mass transfer. At a time, if you want to go for a group of records, we go for what? Mass transfer. Then mass deleted. If you want to delete a record, what we do? If you want to delete a record, what we do? We click on every record, open the record, click on delete. But at a time, if you want to delete all the records, if you want to delete a group of records, at a time, if you want to delete a group of records, then we use a mass delete. But the mass delete is available for only standard objects. Go to mass delete accounts, industry, when you give a condition, you get the corresponding records. Select the record, if you want to delete a group of records at a time, we call it as mass deleted. Mass transfer, mass deleted. Then mass transfer approval request. What is the mass transfer? Now, they send me 20 records to Satish. For Satish, they send 20 records for approval. All the records which are sent to Satish for approval, I want to reassign to Karthik. All the accounts which are sent to Satish for approval, I want to reassign all the records to Satish. Then what I am doing? Mass transfer approval. Write a condition, you get a list of records which are submitted, then select and say to whom you want to reassign. You want to reassign a group of records to someone. The records which are sent to me for approval, I want to reassign all these records to someone else. Then we call it as what? Mass transfer approval. The records which are submitted to me for approval, I want to reassign to someone else for approval, which is called mass transfer approval. Then state and country. Now we have a global pick list option, right? What is a global pick list? If you want the same option to be used in more than one pick list, instead of getting options every time, we created a global pick list told use the same option. Here, wherever the Salesforce is using country and state, same options they are displaying. Wherever the Salesforce is using country and state pick list, they are showing what? Same option. They are showing the same option. Now, if you want to control, I want to remove some of the country names. If you want to remove some of the country names, what I do? Configure. Which country names you don't want to display, remove them. So, state pick list field, country pick list field. In the state and country pick list field, whatever the Salesforce has created, Whichever the options you want to display, select. Whichever the option you don't want, you can delete. State and country. Salesforce has used state and country pick list field. In the state and country pick list, what are the options you want to display? Then we can control from this point. What is it called? State. Then
Sir,
pick list.
do you want to add some extra countries then how it will be possible?
Then we have pick list settings. The same option. Disable. Now, in the standard pick list, when you want for the standard pick list, when you want for the standard pick list, when you are customizing the standard fields, when you want, we added our own option. I don't want you to modify the names. I don't customization. We can modify the standard field names, but I don't want you to modify the standard pick list field names. Then I will say disable editing pick list values. If you look at any one of the standard pick list field, let us say customize, lead, fields. Then I'm giving any one of the pick list field, let us say rating. What I can do, I can remove the option, I can delete the option. I can delete. We are customizing the options in the standard field. Whatever the pick list field is there, standard pick list field is there, that pick list field, we are able to customize it. Removing some options, enabling some options, I can do it. But I don't want standard pick list to be modified. Then what I will do? Simply go with pick list setting. Say disable editing pick list values. Not allow you to modify the pick list values. Okay. Then mass update address. Now all the records whose country is USA, replace them with China. All the records whose country is, all the records who have chosen the country as US, replace them by, let's say, Japan. What happened? The total 19 records, like 19 plus 25 records. There are 25 records which contain country name as US. The records who have chosen the country as US, they are going to be replaced with Japan. So it is called as what? Mass update. What update? Only country name or state name. You cannot mass update the entire data. Using standard functionality, you can mass update the country name and state name. Right. Fine. As I told you, this is the reason why we generally don't use this. Correct. And again, mentioning one more time, don't spend your time in understanding, okay, going to the security controllers, just having one glance, more than enough. You are not going to use it practical on the board. When you are on the job, you are not going to use this in practical. Just have a glance that remember that this topics exist like this. So in case if you have to do a setting, you can get it. But practically don't waste your time on going through all this. Okay. It's only checkbox, enable and disable checkbox. You can just Google it and get the option at the right time. You can just Google it and get the option at the right time. No need of remembering all these checkbox options. All these are checkboxes. All these options are enable, disable. And we are not going to practically use them, as I told you. So don't waste your memory by having this option. As a required, you can just Google it and get the option enabled. Right. So this is a data management. Alright, boss. I hope I'm clear with this. I hope I'm clear. Right. And we also have a mobile administration. So when you say mobile application, I told you Salesforce Classic, Salesforce Classic, and Salesforce Lightning. Generally, mobile applications are called Salesforce 1. Mobile applications are called Salesforce 1. So what we have? Salesforce 1. Salesforce 1, Salesforce setting. Enable the Salesforce 1 mobile browser app. Allow the Salesforce 1 to import the contacts from mobile device contact list. There are only two options. What are the two options? Was allow me to use Salesforce 1 mobile browser app. The user who log in, who is this user? Satish. Allow the Satish to use Salesforce 1 application from mobile. Second option, in the mobile I have so many contacts. Allow me to import contacts from my mobile into Salesforce. You are using the application from your mobile, contacts of your mobile contacts which are available in your mobile, allow me to import those contacts from mobile to Salesforce. These are the two settings. If anybody want to use a Salesforce mobile, first enable the option. Second, if you want enable, allow me to import the contacts from the mobile. Allow me to import the contacts from the mobile. Simply just log into the mobile application. The options are not going to be different. Only the layout is going to be different. They will be called page layout, they will be called compact layout. Same functionality, same option, everything is same. Only the UI is going to change. The UI is going to be compact layout. Here we call page layout in desktop. Here we call compact layout. What we call as compact layout. Apart from that, everything is same.
How will you get this Windows?
Again, plugin. Google Chrome Salesforce One plugin. Now, I am able to log in because this option is enabled. Enable the Salesforce One mobile browser app. Enable Salesforce One mobile browser app. This is a browser app actually. Plugin I have installed. Plugin I have installed. It's what? From browser, mobile plugin I have installed. That's the reason I am going to get this. Enable mobile browser app. Mobile browser app. This is what my application is. The same structure. What was this? So yesterday I think I created some poll question, right? Polling I have created. Right? These are your objects, customers, new customer.
You don't have setup in this.
What is it?
You don't have setup.
You are not going to build application in the mobile first. The mobile you are going to use it. Right? The same structure, but the UI is going to be different. Then we get horizontal, here we get vertical. The layout is going to be vertical. Apart from that, everything is going to be same. The structure is going to be the same structure. If you want to find the written list, what are the open activities, activity history, approved history, the written list will be found. The only UI is going to change, otherwise the structure is the same. Only the point is should have permission. You should have the permission to work on it. What is the permission that you have? If user want to use the mobile application, you should have extra permission. Salesforce One, the user page, there is an option called Salesforce One user. This option is enabled for you. You will be able to use the application from the mobile. This is one extra permission required. Otherwise, the both of them are going to be same. Only the layout is going to be different. Only the layout is going to be different. Right, boss? Fine. Right. So we'll see tomorrow. Communities, Salesforce to Salesforce integration. And if time permits, I'll also go with authentication tomorrow. Otherwise, day after tomorrow, I'll go with integrated third-party system between single sign-on and authentication provider and ID provider. So tomorrow, I'm going to cover communities with Salesforce to Salesforce integration.